What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to J.Craft's Garage. Well, I'm back at it again. I am back to working on the 95 Power Stroke that I bought a month or two ago. This time I got some stuff I'm doing to the interior. So let's get into it. Let's see what I'm doing to the interior of the 95 F350 Power Stroke. So we're back working on the 95 F350 with the 7.3 Power Stroke on it. And one of the things that has been bothering me, other than things with the door panel, which I'll get to in just a little bit, is this switch. Now this switch here, as you notice, it says fuel on top of it. It is the selector switch. That way you can switch from the front tank to the rear tank. And yes, this truck does have two tanks. If you notice, there's a front one and there's a rear one. So I got two fuel tanks on this truck to draw from. And so with that switch there, it allows me to switch from front tank to rear tank. And as you notice, it's all flopping around in there. And to me, it doesn't look very pretty or aesthetically pleasing, I guess you could say. So what we're going to do, we're going to replace this bezel part as well as this switch. Now, it's not as easy as what you think. If you don't have any experience working on these trucks, you can break stuff real quick with this thing. And so I'm going to show you what it all entails on taking this thing apart. So the first thing you want to do is hit the parking brake, just like that, because what you're going to wind up doing is shifting this. Let me do it like this, down a little bit to get it out of the way. So that's why I hit the parking brake down there. That way this truck don't move very far. And a couple other things I've been doing to the truck too is fixing the shift cable. And the shift cable was all in bad shape. It wouldn't even go into reverse. It was hard to go. It wouldn't even go into park. It was hard to go into reverse, and it wasn't working right. And also, I fixed the window motor on this door here. Got a couple of pictures of that as well. It's not as easy as you think to replace the window motor. If you've done some of these, I'll show you on this door here. It's the same thing. Everything is just riveted in, pretty much, like that bracket right there. It's riveted into the door, so I had to remove the bracket. Had to grind off the rivets to get the bracket out and everything. And then on this door here, we just bolted it back together. It's all riveted. You can see them 4 bolts. That's where the rivets were to hold the whatchamacallit that holds the window motor in it, the regulator that holds the window motor in it. But that one there, I riveted everything back in like it should be. So we're all in good shape on both doors as far as window motors. Now this one here was replaced way back in the day when the first time that I have it. If you're wondering why I'm saying the first time, you have to go back to my previous video, a couple videos back, and that's my explanation for why I'm saying when I first had it, because I had this truck way before I recently got it. It's been about 4 years. 4 years ago that I wound up trading this truck for something else, and then it pops back into my life. But anyways, back to the instrument cluster here. The one thing that you're going to want to need, I've got it down here, it's a small little screwdriver with a small tip on it. I don't know if you can see it very well. And the first thing that's going to come out is this knob. It's going to take me 2 hands here, but let me get it off and I'll show you what all it takes place. So to get this knob out, as you can see, it's been well used there. I'm going to have to get me another one here soon. But it's not very hard to get it out. It's got that little slot right there, but then it's got that little tab. I don't know if you can see it right there in the middle. There's that little tab inside. So you just move it towards your fingers, pretty much. Move that tab towards your fingers, and it just slides right out of the rod. Now the next thing we're going to do, and this is why I say if you don't have any experience working on these trucks, You got to be careful. And this little screwdriver is what comes in handy for this. You just got to be really careful, like I've been mentioning. There's a couple of screws back here behind these little trim pieces on both sides, one on each side. And so to take them little trim pieces out, you just gently do that. You gently pop off one side, and it should pop out just like that. Now, as you can see, I was telling everybody to be careful about taking stuff apart, and that's what can happen. Okay, a lot of people try to pry these dash pieces out. As you can see right there, it's all broken out around the screw, and the same thing is on the other side. So we're going to take the other side out and take the screwdriver and work it out just like that. And that's how it should come out, just like that. And as you can see on this side too, it's all broken out as well. So that's from just trying to take it out with the screws in it. And then what I'm going to do also, this one here, this bottom panel has already got the screws missing in it. So all it does is pop out just like that on the top side. Now there's a couple of screws on the bottom that hold this thing in. And I think there's not one that goes there. That's a different hole for a switch. There, let me get this thing out real quick and we'll go from there. So I got the bottom panel out, and I only got the bottom panel out in order to make it easier for me to get the bezel out. And so now all you got to do for the bezel, of course, take the screws out here, but in this case the screws are already busted out. So I'm just going to pull on it gently. Depends how gently you want to be with it, because we're going to replace it and pop it out like that. Okay, this side here has already been taken apart. If that switch was still attached to the instrument bezel, there's a plug that plugs into it, obviously. Now on this side, it's got a little screen right there. And what I mean by a little screen is that it's got the wait to start, fuel and water and fuel, and a whole bunch of other stuff that pops up on that little screen. So on that little screen, let me work this thing out a little bit here. And I'll show you here what I'm talking about. There's a plug behind on the back side of this bezel that plugs into the little screen, and all you have to do is there's a little tab on it and it comes right out. So now we can get the bezel out and ta-da, put in the new one. And that's what it looks like without the bezel on it. So now we got the old bezel out, and this is the back side of that little screen there. So you got a couple of Phillips screws on that side, and then normally on the other side, that's where the selector switch goes to. But as you can see, it's all broken out right there. So that's why I'm replacing this this bezel. It was only like $30 or so from eBay, and that's where I got it. And then we got to transfer some stuff like these clips here at the bottom, and then there's some of these upper clips there that we got to transfer to the other bezel. And then where this goes on the new bezel, we got to trim that out for that screen, because this here bezel fits a whole bunch of different vehicles, and some of them are not diesel like this one is. Some of them are gas engines, and they don't have that little screen, for wait to start, water and fuel, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to take all this apart and then put it on the new one, and I'll show you how the new one goes together. And yes, I'm replacing the switch, even though it does work, and the tabs are still good and everything on it. I'm going to replace it anyways that way, because it looks a little faded and everything, and I want it to look good in the truck and everything. And yeah, So we're gonna get this all taken care of and replaced. Oh, I gotta take out the screws too that are still in the dash as well to hold the new one. And one thing I want to mention as well, being almost a 30-year-old truck, these components here can break as well. I took the little screwdriver and just gently pried up this tab here, but a lot of times they break right across the top there if you are too aggressive with it. So I just took the little screwdriver and just pried it up, gently pried it up, that way it wouldn't break, and got the selector switch off of the plug. So in order for that little screen to fit into the place it's supposed to go, I'm doing a little modification to the new bezel. I'm taking my drill with a step bit and just cutting out a whole bunch of material and everything, and then I'm gonna go back with the razor and trim everything up to where it looks good. So here we go. So after a little bit of work and time, we got it all fitted in there. It's not perfect, but I got it to where I can see the screen now. After drilling and trimming and everything, we got the screen into place where it should be. So now we just gotta swap over the tabs and everything and put everything back together. And so just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the parts swapped over to the new bezel. So we're gonna install it, put it back together, and get everything working and see how everything looks. Well, I got her all back together, folks. Even the bottom panel, and this is what that little screen's supposed to look like. And then when you start it, all that comes up also. And you can even try the turn signal. That lights up, and that one lights up. The fuel reset, it doesn't have a bulb behind it, but everything works on it. And now the main thing, this here is not all loose and broken out and everything. So it didn't come out too bad. I mean, it's not perfect, but yeah, it's a lot better than it was. Now on to the door panel. So here's what happened to the door panel and why I took it off. This part here on the inside, there's like a shell of some sort that goes, that the outer portion wraps around. Well, that had all broken off on the inside, and as you can see, I put some type of glue in there along that brake that was on it, and I also put a little bolt behind here. I don't know if you can, well, you can't see it. Little bolt went through a place similar to that little black spot there where it's like melted through, to hold it in place. I think it was on this one here that I put the bolt through to hold that. So the adhesive that I used was just basically a JB weld, plastic weld, to hold it all together. And then I had to move the insulation out of the way, and so I had to glue the insulation back on and everything. And all I used for the insulation to glue that back on was this yellow super weather strip and gasket adhesive by 3M. That stuff works good. If you don't want gaskets to move or anything, or stuff to stay in place, this is what you use. It is real good at holding stuff together. So now I'm going to take all this and put it all back on here. And poof, just like that, with the magic of video editing, I've got it all on the door. As you can see, this part here is ran through the door up to there. And I've got to put this bracket on there as well. I had to glue this one back together because it was all coming apart. I used the same JB weld plastic adhesive to hold it all together. And then here, this part here got broken out at some point. So what I did was I ran this long screw through there with a flat washer to hold it all together. And so we're just getting it all back together. I took the handle out to make it easier to put it on, but I can get back in there and put her all together. Here we go. Well, that's how she looks all put back together. Again, she doesn't look quite as clean as how I like to have it, but I mean 30 years old and looking like this, it's not too bad. I still gotta fix this. I mean, it's back together a lot better than what I had it before, and now we just gotta clean up the rest of the truck and get her all cleaned up. Well, there you go, folks. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you haven't done so already, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you know anybody else who might be interested in what I'm showing on the different vehicles that I have, plus Copart walkarounds, just let them know about my channel. And please feel free to comment down below in the comment section as well. I hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is safe. And I look forward to seeing y'all right here on the next video.